Okay, so example B over here is going to be different from example A. Example A was geometric. It was geometric because it changed through multiplication. Each time you were multiplying by 3/4. Alright, so that's why the R got written up as 3/4 here. In example B, we're going to see if that's the same or if something's different. So, example B begins with the third term and ends with the 8th term. So that means I'm going to begin with 23 minus 5 times 3 plus 23 minus 5 times 4 plus 23 minus 5 times 5 plus 23 minus 5 times 6 plus 23 minus 5 times 7, and then finally 23 minus 5 times 8. Now, unfortunately, I didn't think ahead, and now I'm going to have to pull this number. Bloop, 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 bloop. So we're just going to rewrite it down here. So example B with 8 sigma n equals 3, 23 minus 5n. We're going to go ahead and rewrite that as 23 minus 15 plus 23 minus 20 plus 23 minus 25 plus 23 minus 30. Maybe you see a pattern. If you don't, that's okay. I'm going to talk about it in a second. 23 minus 35, 23 minus 40. N equals 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we got all our terms. Let's go ahead and talk about how these numbers are changing. In example B, we were multiplying by 3/4, but each time we were multiplying by another 3/4. In this example, we now have minus 15, minus 20, minus 25, minus 30. So we're not multiplying by a number each time, we're instead subtracting a larger number. And in fact, we're subtracting 15, then we're subtracting 20, then we're subtracting 25. So in this case, we are subtracting 5 each time, which means that your difference, and hopefully you can see that that's negative 5, because of subtraction. Negative 5 because we're subtracting 5 each time. So what we can do here is we can go ahead and say, well, in this specific setup, I can now say that I can do this by hand. I can do 23 minus 15, 23 minus 20, 23 minus 25, 23 minus 30, 23 minus 35. I really shouldn't even write plus negative here, but I did. Yeah, put those in parentheses. 23 minus 40. Okay, so you can do that by hand, and you can add these pieces together. 8 plus 3 minus 2 minus 7 minus 12 minus 17, or you can put them into the summation formula for an arithmetic series. Now, an arithmetic series has two options for you to use. You can either use n over 2 times the sum of the first term and the last term, or you can use n over 2 times 2 of the first term plus n minus 1 times the difference. There's a very simple connection. A sub n is created by a1 plus n minus 1 times d. So basically all that they did is said if you don't know a sub n, you can just create it yourself. And they built it into the formula. So let's go ahead and label our pieces here. For this problem, our first term that we're going to plug in here is going to be 8. Sorry. And our last term is going to be negative 17. Now you do need to be very cautious. Your n here, this is where it gets a little tricky. Your n here is not going to be 8 because you started at the third term up. So if you started 3 up, that means that you are going to only have 5 terms. 1, 2, 3, I'm sorry, I said the wrong thing. 6 terms. See, I did it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because the difference between 8 and 3 is 5, but the count from 3 to 8 is going to be 6. It's always one more. So we're going to sum up these 6 terms. I'm going to use this one because it's a little simpler. It's shorter. So if I use that formula, the sum of these 6 terms is going to be 6 over 2 times 8 minus 17. 8 being the first term, negative 17 being the last term. If I use the second formula, it would say n sub 6, 6 over 2, 2 times 8 plus n minus 1, so 6 minus 1 times negative 5. So let's crunch these out. Let's make sure that we get the same answer for each of them. 3 times, what is that? Negative 9? Gets me negative 27. Can't see. And then over here, 3 times 16 minus, because this is going to be negative, 5 times 5. So 3 times, and sure enough, we get negative 9 again, which is negative 27. And just to make sure that we did this work correctly, we're going to go ahead and check the sum of these terms as well. So, put that flat here. 8 plus 3, minus 2, minus 7, minus 12, minus 17. Uh-oh, what'd I do? Classic mistake. I put a negative sign when I should have put a subtraction sign. There we go, negative 27. So, through all of this, really the big takeaway is to build the equations from sigma, you need to write out the terms. Writing out the terms reveals the pattern, and that's how you find the pieces to go into the equations.